In this particular video, I'd like to show a little bit more of this new door that I put into place on the bottom of the wing. I'm hoping that when we look down inside, we'll be able to see my hand down in here. I'm trying to move my finger around. That's where all the wires are at down there. And of course that's where they fasten on, and you reach down in there and you can pull the wires in, make sure they're not kinked. And I just finished this yesterday, and of course you can here again get a very good view of the balls that have to push down into the plastic tubing to hold it in place. There's 4 of these on the wing. They have servos on the inside, and this operates the flaps. I'll get back a little bit. Flaps. And this is the servo that operates. This is the left aileron. Something else that I wanted to show you, I'm going to move right over to the rear, the tail of the fuselage. The rudder on the fuselage is actually made of balsa, and it's covered, and it has the pinking strips on it, and of course it's painted. That's the way it was on the real airplane. And I cut the trim tab out and then glued it back in to make it look more realistic. And it works very well. That's a false light on there. I decided not to add weight by adding lights. The elevators on this airplane are also made out of balsa. But in this particular instance, I covered them with fiberglass, and then I covered them with aluminum, and then I put the rivets and everything in place, and I also cut out the trim tabs here to make it look more realistic. In this particular airplane, it was built 2 ways. It was built without a dorsal fin, which comes from here down to here. Actually, it starts here and runs all the way along here and here. And they sell this airplane. Wayne Stewart, the designer, sold two ways. For the P-51D or the P-51B, I built it as a D, so that meant I had to add this dorsal fin and try to do it in such a way that you couldn't tell it had been added. And I think it turned out very well. This had to be filled. You couldn't tell where the seam come together. So it turned out very well. The mask is something that in traveling you may want to remove. So this is put into place. I can just grab a hold of it and give it a little tug, and out it'll come. And you can see that there's a ball on the end. And down inside I built a little place where that plastic tubing is at, and that ball will shove this right down into the plastic tubing and hold it in place. Of course, on this mechanism where you can pull the canopy back and forth, there's a channel at the back, and there's 2 on the side, and we'll just do it a few times. I'll switch hands, try to get back far enough that you can see it going back and forth, and it does it quite nicely. So in flying this airplane, since it's made of carbon fiber, there has to be an outside antenna, and this is where it connects on. It's a whip antenna. And you have to have a vent for your fuel line, and this is it right here. This comes off, and I'm taking it off to show you. It has an O-ring on the end, rubber O-ring, so that when you're carrying the airplane, if there's a little fuel left inside, you don't have to worry about it getting out and getting all over the airplane. But you use that vent line when you're filling it as an overflow.